Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about People of the Sun by Jason Parent. And this is from Sinister Grin Press, and it is a science fiction comic book kind of with a little horror element in it kind of story. I think I covered everything there. So it is the story of 4 aliens from Samoria, and their planet is dying, essentially. It's running out of resources. There's some upheaval. And so our 4 alien characters, who are Lennox, Trist, Kazi, and Milliken, they are going off in search of resources to bring back to their planet. But there's a bit of a catastrophe when they take off, and they end up crashing on Earth. And once they get to Earth, then they gain some powers and start interacting with humans, and things just get crazy from there, as if aliens weren't crazy enough. So, I believe this is the first thing I've read by Jason Parent, and right off the bat, he's got a nice, easy writing style. The book is very fast-paced. Things move very, very quickly. It doesn't seem to take place over a very long period of time. There's one sort of time jump. When the book starts, we're actually introduced to our human characters first, and our main human character is Connor Goudreau. He and a local lawman are going to check out a meteorite impact site, and of course it turns out to be a spaceship, and then things go from there. But right after this little scene of them discovering the spaceship, we jump back in time 8 days to when our alien friends are launching from Samoria, and we find out what's going on with them and the disaster that happens and the crash. And then things kind of just move on from there in a linear way. So our 4 aliens, as I said, they end up on Earth. One of them is mortally wounded, but I don't want to give anything away, really. So something on Earth not only sort of heals whatever the mortal wound, but it gives the 4 aliens powers. They become telepathic and telekinetic and impervious, bulletproof, for lack of a better way to put it, because more than just bulletproof. They can teleport. They can do some pretty nifty things. And so then once they meet the humans, of course, we always freak out when aliens show up. So Lennox, the leader of the aliens, wants to, he still has a mission to fulfill, finding resources to take back to Samoria. He thinks the best way to go about that is to be friendly with the humans. And but there might be somebody in the alien ranks who has other ideas, and this might lead to some conflict. Trying not to give anything too much away here. But there is lots and lots of conflict. So this is, again, it's a very fast-paced story. I like what it does. It does cover some familiar ground, especially if you're a big comic book fan, but it does it in an interesting way. I do like the characters. Each of the 4 aliens is very distinct in their personalities. As far as the humans go, I mentioned Connor, our main human, and he's given some character, some background, but aside from him, the sort of background humans, the minor human characters, they do get a little bit of personality, a little bit of character, but not as much as I personally would have liked. I would have liked to seen every character fleshed out even more, even those that had a pretty good amount of character. To put it in terms, mathematical terms, I would say the aliens and Connor aren't completely 3-dimensional, maybe 2 3/4 dimensional. And the other sort of background humans, there's a couple, the president and this military guy, they're maybe 2.25 dimensional, which isn't to say that any of the characters are bad. They're just, personally, if you've watched my videos, you know how important character is to me. I would have liked to have seen more about the characters. And on that note, I also would have liked to have seen a little more about Somoria. We do get some about, a little bit about their society, a little bit about the planet. I would have liked to have seen more. That's just me. It's not a gaping hole in the story. It's an addition that I would have liked to have seen put in there, personally. Little addition added onto the story house. But again, that's me. I like that type of development. Maybe it would have broken up the pace of the book. I don't know. There is some little bit of politics in here. Political, I don't know if satire is necessarily the right word, but there are some jabs at the current political environment, I believe. And the story does, I believe it takes place a little bit in the future. I mean, it could be, obviously, it's fiction, could be a completely alternate timeline kind of thing, but the president in this book is the second female president of the United States. So I just automatically assume it's 8, 12, 16 years in the future. But there's really nothing else to indicate that it's necessary. It's not, the Earth isn't like some science fiction utopia or anything. It's still just SUVs and cell phones and tablets and all that kind of stuff. Not that I expect great leaps in the next 12 or 16 years. You know, yeah, I'd love to have a flying car and a jetpack, but I just don't see that happening in my lifetime. Yeah, there's... I was going to say there's a lot going on, but there really isn't. It's a very straightforward story. And once the aliens and the humans start interacting and things all go to hell, I'm trying to avoid telling you what actually happens, but there is a point where the government is hunting down the aliens, and I was very much reminded of reading books like Memoirs of an Invisible Man or Jumper. I haven't seen the movie Jumper, so I don't know how that compares. And I have seen Memoirs of an Invisible Man, but it's nowhere near as good as the book. But they're just these certain scenes with the government going after the aliens really made me think of those books. If you want to go old school, think Firestarter or The Fury, where, again, the government going after someone or something with powers. So actually, that was kind of a warm, fuzzy feeling. Took me back to those pleasant memories, which is a nice thing, I guess, for a book to do. Not a bad little cover. So, yeah, there's a lot of conflict. There's, again, kind of maybe a political statement. So, I don't want to give too much away. I will say that it's worth your time. It's a fun read, especially if you're a fan of comic books, because you have sort of these, I hate to say super powered beings. I was going to say superheroes, but that wouldn't be appropriate. So my rating for this book, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 flying saucers. And I just want to say that these depictions of flying saucers in no way represent anything that's in the book, except the fact that there are aliens and their spaceship in the book. And as far as the color scheme goes, hey, you don't know what color a flying saucer might be, so I drew it the way I wanted to. But 3.5 out of 5 flying saucers for People of the Sun by Jason Parent. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun, as I said. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. So if you want to know a little more specific about the book, just ask me in the comments. I'm happy to talk about it, as long as we post that spoiler warning. Please like, share, and subscribe. Oh, as always, I will have links As always, when I remember, because I forgot a couple of videos ago, someone was nice enough to remind me so I could add them, but there will be links for the book in the description down below. I think I said please like, share, and subscribe already. So that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I have been your host, Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.